Dear Secretary Clinton and your supporters, if you believe, as we do, that our next president will be a woman of overwhelming qualifications, please read this letter carefully.
If you think this election has been fraught with difficulty, prepare yourself for a challenge much greater.
We will soon need to wage an important peace, and to this endeavor above all others we should devote ourselves. It will not be easy.
Perhaps an example from the past will help explain.
In 1860, in Springfield, Missouri, shortly after winning the election, our first Republican president reminded his fellow citizens,
In all our rejoicing, let us neither express nor cherish any harsh feelings toward any citizen who, by his vote, has differed with us.
Let us at all times remember that all American citizens are brothers of a common country and should dwell together in the bonds of fraternal feeling.
Never have words rang so eternally true. Lincoln knew then what we remind ourselves of now.
We must avoid boosterism, the self-centered belief that we, as a collective, stand above all others in all circumstances.
we must avoid the boast, the conspicuous celebration, the temptation to disdain, and instead we must reach out.
A great percentage of our fellow citizens have described paranoia and angst, that though difficult for us to understand, is very real to each of them.
We cannot turn a blind eye to their fears. We must reach out and say, how can we help?
How can we make you feel more protected? How can we ensure your autumn years are comfortable?
How can we reassure you that your children will be safe and happy in their future?
We must reach out, and though we will be pushed away time and time again by their pride, we must persevere. We will not have won a contest this November. We will instead have taken a path of great responsibility.
Forgiveness must be our very next step.
In his most humble, most heartfelt of moments, 5 years after leaving his friends in Springfield, Lincoln again showed us the way.
In April 1865, Sally Pickett, wife of General George Pickett, held her infant son in one arm as she dabbed tears from her red eyes. Her home, her clothes, and those on the baby reeked of burnt-out buildings.
Richmond, Virginia was a smoldering ruin. Rumors were rampant that her husband, her soldier, had been killed the day before defending their Confederate capital. Then, in Sally's own words,
There was a sharp rap at the door. The servants had all run away. The city was full of Northern troops, and my environment had not taught me to love them.
The fate of other cities had awakened my fears for Richmond. With my baby on my arm, I answered the knock, opened the door, and looked up at a tall, gaunt, sad-faced man in ill-fitting clothes who, with the accent of the North, asked, "Is this George Pickett's place?"
Yes, sir, I answered, but he is not here. I know that, ma'am, he replied, but I just wanted to see the place. I am Abraham Lincoln. The president? I gasped.
The stranger shook his head and said, "No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Just Abraham Lincoln, George's old friend."
"I am George Pickett's wife, and this is his baby," was all I could say. I had never seen Mr. Lincoln, but remembered the intense love and reverence with which my soldier always spoke of him.
My baby pushed away from me and reached out his hands to Mr. Lincoln, who took him in his arms.
As he did so, an expression of rapt, almost divine, tenderness and love lighted up the sad face. It was a look that I have never seen on any other face.
My baby opened his mouth wide and insisted upon giving his father's friend a dewy, infantile kiss. As Mr. Lincoln gave the little one back to me, shaking his finger at him playfully, he said, "Tell your father, the rascal, that I forgive him for the sake of that kiss and those bright eyes."
Please, please vote on November 8th, but remember as you do, our children, all of our children, are depending on the important steps we take after the election. Remember, reach out, forgive, help.